How is everybody doing today? This video is gonna be about how it feels. How does it feel to have no friends, right? I by no means am making this video to promote that having no friends is a good thing, right? Who doesn't want to have friends? A life without friends can feel lonely even if you have a partner, right? That, like guys say, "Oh, I need guy time. I need that brotherhood, whether it be friends, cousins, family members, right? Family members can be friends too. Just because somebody is family doesn't mean that you will get along with them in the sense that you guys have things in common. So I'm just going to talk about my situation, right? So these last couple months, I've been calling one of my childhood friends on the phone while I'm at work because I work alone. So I'll call him every other day. He doesn't answer. He finally answered and I got to talk to him for 20 minutes. He said he had something to do. He was working too. So a lot of people were like getting in his way, not letting us talk. Damn those colleagues not letting us talk. No, he's at work, right? He's got to do what he's got to do. So I was calling him just to call him. I didn't have intentions of hanging out with him because ever since we graduated high school, there's been only a couple instances where we would just hang out, smoke a cigarette, and everybody go home, right? Go home, smoke. Hey, bro, where you gonna be at? We're still young. So that's what I would call like a healthy in the sense, right? It's not healthy to smoke, but to me, it's probably the healthiest it gets to hanging out with somebody other than going out to eat with somebody, right? Because hanging out with people, and when you hang out with them, there's drinking involved, then I don't really consider that friends, right? Like a real friend. And the last times I was hanging out with this particular friend, we would just hang out to drink. So he wouldn't pick up, and I remember he messaged me. He said, "Bro, I was just talking to Chicolene. Chicolene is he's about 6'4", another old friend that I used to hang out with, me, Jorge, the guy I'm calling, right? And he doesn't pick up like that. We would hang out and we would go out to eat, go to the casino, drink, right? We weren't like, we never had like girls to hit up, right? It would just be straight guys. We weren't in the sense like, this the new age says pulling girls, right? We weren't pulling. Technically we were like on some losers, right? We didn't have a group of girls that we can call and have a good time like the Corona commercials. Like, you guys seen those Corona commercials where it's like people hanging out by the beach, guys and girls having a good time. We didn't get to live that, right? We weren't living that. So my friend messaged me. He said, "Bro, I was talking to Chicolene. He said he wants to hang out. He wants to do a meeting, right? Kind of like a high school reunion, but not really, right? It would just be my group of friends that we used to hang out." So I thought about it, right? I entertained it in my head, and right away I was entertaining like meeting up with them and joking. Now remind you, I haven't had a friend in years. somebody I can call a friend. Last time I had a real, like I said, last time I would hang out with these guys, I was about 24. I'm 30 now, so you could pretty much say that I haven't been around somebody I can call a friend outside of my family, because I do have my brother, my youngest brother. We have things in common, but he has his friends. He's at that age. He just graduated high school, so I'm not really considering him like a friend. He's like my youngest brother at the end of the day. So like I said, I was entertaining the idea of us reuniting. You know, I was already cracking jokes in my head somehow. And through God's grace, God reminded me about Lot from the Bible. When God told Lot that he would be destroying and burning down Sodom and Gomorrah, and Lot was like, Lord, but what about the righteous people that are alive? What if there's 50 righteous people living in Sodom and Gomorrah? And God said, I won't burn it if there's 50 righteous people. And he said, what about 30? What about 20? What about 10? He said, I won't burn it if there's 10 righteous people. You guys get the idea, right? So it ended up being that there was no righteous people living in Sodom and Gomorrah. So he told Lot and his wife to leave and don't turn back. So when Lot was leaving Sodom or Gomorrah, him and his wife were already walking away, and Lot's wife, as we know, she turned back to see the destruction of the cities, and she turned into a pillar of salt, because God clearly said, do not turn back. Now, my interpretation of why Lot's wife turned back was because I seen it in a movie. She turned back because she wanted to see the people suffering. She wanted to see you could hear the screams. I guarantee you she could hear the screams, but she wanted to turn back just to give it one last look and look at the people that were suffering. So maybe she got an enjoyment. She thought she was gonna get a satisfaction off seeing people suffer, right? As we know, in this world, we live in a dark world where, unfortunately, people, they get an enjoyment when you suffer, right? When they try to provoke you and you react, right? We do not argue with the enemy, anybody who's trying to provoke us or who has ill intent. We avoid those type of people, right? So she turned back and she turned into a pillar of salt. So I was thinking about that. I was like, you know what? If I go back to this group of friends, could I turn into a pillar of salt? Am I going to take 10 steps back? Remind you guys, I started my clothing brand. If you guys want to support the channel, link in the bio, everything on sale. But I started my clothing brand, and these guys never gave me a like. They never gave me a like. Matter of fact, one of them reacted with the laughing emoji, laughing at one of my video commercials that I posted for the brand. And I didn't react too well to that, right? I was like, why would you laugh, right, at that video? I'm promoting my business. So that played a major role into why I just decided not to respond to my friend. And honestly, maybe I'm not talking about necessarily my feelings on how I feel on not having friends, but pretty much through that little example that I just talked about is like how I feel about friends, or friends that don't really support you. Hanging out with these people, I feel like, would take me 10 steps back. Why would I want to jeopardize what I'm building or what I'm trying to build through God's grace, just to hang out with people and just to drink and possibly just talk about the past or getting judged on my clothing brand, for example. I'm not scared of getting judged, but it's like you kind of get to see when you start your business, whether small or big, you get to see who really supports you and who really even cared about you, and not just hanging out with you because people are bored. People only want amusement, right? That you can't really be part of this world and follow Christ. That I used to, before going out, I used to play it out in my head about how I'm gonna have a good time, how I'm gonna be cracking jokes, ha ha ha, he he he. But every time I would come back feeling empty, back to the house, and it was like, damn, I played this movie in my head. But things are not what they seem, right? From the outside looking in, it seems like a good time. But as we all know, that once you're inside, it's like, man, these people don't really care for me. These people just want to have a good time. So basically, it's better to be alone than to be with bad company. As we all have heard that saying.